Welcome.
Speaking of movies that were probably popular at the time.
I just hit my ankle. Tonight I will be playing a hobbit. Because I'm very short sitting on this little thing.
Well, you're the same size as
You're higher
Billion.
than me.
Yeah, you're the same.
Well,
It's just me who's the giant now.
Jeez. Sensitivity.
Discrimination here.
Let me tell you about discrimination.
Anti-short people.
So everybody,
Discrimination
those that are hopping on
by the hundreds.
by the thousands.
By the ones. There are ones of people on
I
short.
normally have about ones of people on, so I'm pretty okay with that. Anyway, so who wants to do the recap? Anyone?
I think Bill should, because I totally don't remember.
Wait a minute, that's an ad. I'm just making sure
This
the
isn't
audio
a
is
show
working
at
for me.
all. David's just running ads. That's true. That's what I do.
Oh, should have.
Oh,
It's working. Yeah.
is that anything part? You know what? It's only slightly true. You know what? Warlocks have just as much
It's
charisma
true.
and the ability to do it. The only difference is the stigma that comes with bards. Hi everyone, welcome. We're actually not just talking about stuff tonight. We're playing a game.
Hooray!
Episode 2. If you didn't catch episode 1, do not fret. I don't know if anyone does that anymore, but don't do it. So now we're just going to start. What was the last thing? Well, let's just recap.
Yeah.
You guys were on an expedition, and it was going great. Mostly. One person died, but it wasn't your fault. He got dragged off in the Underdark. Anyway, if you remember his name, I will give you an inspiration point.
The guy that ran into
Tristan.
the Underdark?
No. You liar. You sound...
Wait, hold on. Nels.
No, Nels is the leader.
Now I'm deducting inspiration points. You don't know your leader's name? Come
I wrote down a few names. I didn't really take notes on them. Tatian or Keith? No, that's these guys.
You're like, who are these people?
Wait a second. I don't remember them in the story. I remember Bailiff
Into
and
the
Beatrice.
Underdark?
No, someone got dragged off into
Yeah.
the Underdark. It was a backstory.
It was
had nothing
pre-
to do.
Oh,
This was
yeah.
part of
It was.
the story.
It was the.
Free play.
Yeah, it
You
was
had
the.
nothing to do with it.
Yeah, it was the guy who got like way earlier in the expedition. He got pulled off. I remember. That. I
Yes.
don't remember his name.
Was he one of the dwarves?
No.
He wasn't a
No,
dwarf.
there were.
That's
We don't
okay.
have any dwarves.
Yeah, we do.
Are they dwarves? I thought it was the.
There
I
were
thought the
dwarves.
skeletons were dwarves.
Spooky scoot. Anyway,
And then we came to this island that we shouldn't have been on.
yes.
And then
for many reasons.
And then we
truly.
searched around in a lot of ways, and
There
it
were
kept
flowing trees, and that was significant. They were all the same tree. Forget.
Were they all the same tree?
I'm interested in your interpretation. Go on.
I'm listening.
There was something significant there. We haven't figured it out.
Not quite.
And we were being followed immediately. Storms started.
That's important. That did happen. Yes.
We had to move the boat,
Yeah,
and
We-
we made our way inland.
we resecured it. We
Yes.
made it up onto a cliff that had an overhang, where they discovered like some skeletons of dwarves.
Where we tried to camp. Yeah.
And
He was
some-
digging around like a good little gnome that he was.
Oh, I forgot you're playing a gnome. That's one of my favorite things about this. And
He has a normal voice, which was also everyone's favorite. I'm not
his
sure why. I felt like
normal
it's...
voice.
Tatian went and explored a sandy area where she found conical shapes in the sand.
That kept
were
appearing whenever and then she would start wondering what it was, and then she'd start hearing more things.
Or
and-
conical impressions in the sand, excuse me.
Cone shapes for the layman.
Yeah.
We use sometimes big words on the show, and sometimes small ones.
But we're-
Sometimes we're smart, but sometimes we're not.
But we're not smart people.
The important thing is that you all survived so far. You had some interesting situations up on the cliff where you went to go and kind of stand above
Yeah.
and do some
And
reconnaissance.
yeah, look at it a little bit.
And the more you started to search, you just things started happening all around you guys, and just in your general vicinity. And everyone started to panic, and everyone took off up the hill.
Yeah,
Um,
I remember that.
because everyone started to go to sleep, and then birds started pelting into the side of the tent,
That's right. That's
and
right.
there was all sorts of madness going on.
Then we ended up all running up the hill because of reasons.
And we found a wall.
We
And
found
when
a
we
wall.
crossed the wall, the weird humming that was following us went away.
Yes,
the
and
time being.
also, I almost said Breeze. That is not her name.
It
Tatiana.
was- Yeah.
When Tatiana, the silver dragonborn druid that my wife is, which by the way, I should mention, she's not in us tonight because she's super tired and has to get up super early. So
She's
she'll be here
not?
next time.
Where is she?
So I will be playing a female dragonborn.
You got to get the voice right.
Yeah.
Not sure what that was. Practice. Call it practice. You can't judge me for practice. Anyway,
Silver kitten born.
so anyway, the good things that started to happen were that she stopped whatever was chasing you or getting near you or the sounds or anything. She cast like this moonbeam
That's
down
right.
and started
That's right.
fraying at everything that was behind you.
That's right.
And you guys ran into the house, and there was this little plantation-style house up on this hill, and you all ran inside it, and you thought you had seen a light before. So you went into the house and you started searching. You couldn't find any light, but you did find a diary.
Yes.
And you read the diary. We all got chills. And then something burst through the... Actually, no.
I
One
went
more
outside.
thing. You went past Nels
went
and
outside. Yeah.
Deedus and Bailiff.
Bailiff.
And you went outside past them.
Yes.
No one saw you do it. So you just go kind of like mosey on out because you're a gnome.
I'm
Doing
3.5
your gnome-
feet tall.
Yeah, who's going to be like...
I'm a little bit bigger than a toddler.
Which I always think of that.
Maybe like a head above a toddler.
Because technically you could roll stats for a barbarian gnome and have his strength be insane.
Yeah.
But he's still a gnome. That's a subject.
Yeah.
How does that work?
I'll have to talk.
Because technically how?
Well, I think
Maneuvering maybe.
Well, I think gnomes.
They're magical beings as well.
I think gnomes also take, like in the same way that elves have additions to like dexterity. Don't gnomes have?
They get an
subtractions?
intelligence bonus actually.
Really?
But
I
they
mean,
they get a subtraction in speed.
Okay, let me ask about it this way. That for strength wise, speaking of tangent, let's imagine a very small, like a 10-year-old child who, and we all know a child like this who is absurdly strong. That's what comes to my mind.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, okay.
We
I can
all
see that.
like my nephew is exactly one of those children.
10-year-old. Pretty
Uh-huh.
rough.
Yeah, like the ones that are just built like brick crap houses.
Yeah.
It's just
Those are
like
my favorite kind of crab houses.
I used to watch a YouTube show that was called that. Anyway,
brick crap house.
Sounds really awkward.
it's like something Matt would have shown. Anyway,
Brick
For real.
anyway
Brick
back on
crap,
target.
Brick Crap House is my favorite off-brand spa.
It was my metal band name when I was about to start. And it just didn't pan out.
It's a crab house.
All right. Normally I edit these, which they're great for me.
Now
think-
everyone
I
gets
think
to
everyone
enjoy
gets to
these.
enjoy them as well.
Yes.
Okay, so here is what happened last: is you went out,
Yep.
you went outside, and you were just
Yeah.
looking around.
Yep.
You didn't. You rolled terrible. I think you rolled like a
9 or 10
Yeah, you
on
rolled a
perception.
really low.
Yeah.
Which, fun fact, I like to tell little. There's a giant like mosquito hawk in our house, and it's really upsetting me.
Some people call them skeeter eaters. Some people call them, what are they? Hawks?
Mosquito hawk. Yeah.
Mosquito hawk.
Yeah.
As long as they attack other bugs, I
Yeah.
still don't like them because I don't care, but my family, my kids are like panicked by bugs. for
They
some reason.
never asleep.
Yes. Anyway, so you went outside and you rolled terribly,
No.
which they wouldn't know this, and I like to tell these things because I find it interesting. Had he rolled well, he probably would have died because it was. Anyway, the thing, whatever it was, came jumping through the door because he was reading a diary, and something about the diary made it click. Into
But we
place.
knew what it was. We found out what it was after we killed it.
Mm-hmm. You could see it was some kind of like 5-pronged creature with
Yeah.
It
like
was like a
sharp-
humanoid with.
It was like a human, but looked massively deformed. and
Weird
hideous.
sort of spiderish limbs and stuff on
It's
it.
in Morden Canaan's Tome of Foes.
Yeah.
if you can find it.
Imagine like Dr. Octopus, but with bionic spider-like limbs.
Yeah.
That's what it reminded
Yeah,
me of.
Yeah.
with spikes at the end.
Yeah.
Truly hideous, which is why I picked it. Anyway, the point is that it was about to get you.
Yeah.
You were searching for something,
Uh-huh.
and if you had noticed it, connection-wise, because that's what we discovered in the diary. Because she was talking about how the more that the dwarf workers started to talk about it and things happened, they ended up dying.
Yep.
Either to madness, killing themselves, or who knows else what. But she
Murder.
started to write the same things that they were saying. And then you, right when you were reading about that last moment from her life, before she wrote, she didn't, but that would have been great. Anyway, so you bust through the door and a huge fight ensued, and you got grappled by the thing, and it was putting all of its, and you still are suffering from these wounds, but the more
Yep.
people hit you, the more it pulled in.
Yep.
But luckily, we had some natural 20s. You escaped, you
He
jumped out.
he just destroyed it.
Oh, he did.
And he ripped
His
it to shreds.
first shot was like 70 points of damage
Yeah.
or something.
He absolutely wrecked it.
If you had not, I don't know if you would have survived. It wasn't.
That would have been fun if we died in the first episode.
It's possible. I don't. Run,
TPK.
I don't run death
TPK.
marches. I don't run death marches, but they are definitely
That would have been fun.
can be fatal. Like every encounter can be fatal, and I like to keep it that way because if it's too easy, then we're just like, well, I killed it. Another thing, you know. It's like, what's the point?
Yeah.
We
Anyway.
can't all be Neo from the Matrix.
Why?
Well, Will can.
Why? Anyway, now you are sitting in the room, and you came in and were helping too.
I did.
and
I helped. I did like 7 damage or something.
you know what? It's still okay.
Wow.
It's still okay.
Wow.
He's designed to be the killer.
Oh yeah,
in the
well,
group.
that's fine.
We have different. You have different strengths. We'll get there. Anyway, you are now sitting in an empty house with a thing in it, and you're all just kind of in shock, mostly from pain for you, because it took some significant damage.
A lot.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Luckily, you have pretty good stats. for
Fair.
health.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
pretty average, but it's still better than some I've seen. Like wizard stats.
Like gnomes.
6. I rolled straight ones. All
I
right.
have ones of hit points.
Ugh, awful. But now we begin anew. So, the wind has actually died down significantly. The moment you killed it was a moment of just madness, just seeing this thing appear into being and just start writhing as, I believe, because Tatiana used her 2 whips, which are jagged and horrible. She ripped its head off with the whips. That was the last moment of it. And it's as its head topples to the floor and it begins to writhe some more and it stops moving. All of you are left stunned. Now, with who you are, have you seen anything like this in your lifetime?
Not particularly, no.
Nothing that crazy.
Not to this extent.
Okay. Now, with your injuries and what you had seen, and now seeing what this creature is, how are you handling this situation? Honestly, your character. How
My
would they be handling
character
this?
He's probably at that point of exhaustion and kind of a little bit shocked because he has seen things like this, never exactly this, but he'll probably go over and find a chair and sit and take deep breaths.
Okay, there's a rocking chair in this room, so you kind of just collapse into it. And as he does so, Nels actually walks over to you and he's just like, "By the gods, man, are you okay? I thought that thing had you for sure."
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
I thought it would have killed me. I'm just any more time, and I'm positive it would have. It was quite fortunate that it's gone. I'm going to need some rest.
He semi chuckles and then just kind of sees your gouging wounds and just says, "We need to find this man a healer." And he looks around and looks at everyone, but he realizes most of the people that have been around aren't much of healers. But time in this world is an interesting thing, how it closes wounds. But he
Sets
agrees.
broken bone.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. I am going to treat this campaign a little differently. With no direct healing magic, wounds leave scars. So if there's something that's pretty debilitating, like a critical hit from a monster, and if it does something pretty severe, you may need to seek a healer. If you guys are okay with that.
Okay.
Just kind of
Sounds
give it more
interesting.
of a realistic vibe, because I mean D&D is awesome, but when it comes to healing, I'm never, if it's just like, if you don't get healed and you just wake up, I'm fine. You know what I mean? I'm okay with that with magic. Sometimes with health, I'm like a little bit like, we'll see.
It's too much like the movies. You took a stab in the chest, let's go fight for 3 hours.
Yeah, no kidding. Talk more about that. I gotta grab my dice. That's right.
I don't really know how I can talk more about that. That's how movies go. Let's put a band-aid on it. You're fine. Let's go fight.
Seriously.
Oh, you dislocated your shoulder slamming against a wall. That works.
Yeah.
Biggest load of crap.
Now go jump and catch something with both your hands.
Yeah.
Holding your full body weight. With that dislocated shoulder, it's fine. You said it. You're fine.
And it's not gonna be sore. You can fight the bad guy.
Just
Bat in here. Oh well. I'm just gonna use my little roller here.
So while he's sitting and kind of being attended to, not necessarily stealthily, but I'm not being, I'm not trying to be noticed. I'm gonna go over to this creature, and I actually want to cut off some of its skin, something that I can maybe dry and treat and
Okay.
maybe learn a little bit more about.
So I want
another
you to
time.
roll a. What am I gonna call this? You know, for this kind of check, I would just say you're gonna have to do
Sort of like a survival, kind of like skinning an animal, or
yeah. I mean, survival or dexterity, just in general, just because you're trying to be careful with it and like be precise. I guess if that makes sense.
Okay.
There's not much in regards to skinning things,
Okay, so
unless it's like nature.
7.
Okay, you managed to get a piece off. It's not as clean as you'd like.
Yeah.
The skin's a little bit tougher than you had anticipated when you started to cut.
Okay.
And it kind of gives that like turkey skin where it's kind of like moves a little bit and you're just kind of like ugh, but it's tough. It's like hard to rip. So I mean it's
like a mix of turkey skin and tar.
yeah, turkey tar.
Turkey tar.
He's one of those turkey tar skin boys.
You guys ever smoke turkey tar?
Anyway, on that note,
Delicious.
so Bailiff comes over and he actually has a pack and he starts taking out some bandages. They don't look great, but they haven't been used recently. They've probably been washed. But
Probably.
he just starts like wrapping you up around the torso, especially around the back area where it had its claws into you. I imagine it's pretty painful. I would actually like you to roll a kind of like a wisdom saving throw, so to speak, to see how well you handled that situation. Obviously, you guys have been through some things, but that was a pretty terrifying situation.
9.
Okay. So in this moment, you're not feeling shock as much as you're feeling just like this coldness kind of come over, of mortality come over you. Of this, like, I just encountered something truly heinous and it about took me out. I mean, it can be a terrifying moment. You're not so much stunned as you are just... I was looking for a 5 or lower for any insanity things.
Oh,
But-
okay.
But if you guys are okay with that too,
Yeah.
for certain events. And if you can talk yourself out of things,
Yeah.
please do.
I wanna go over and talk to Key. It's Key, right? That's how you say it.
KHI?
KHE.
Yeah. KHI, but it's key.
KHI. Key.
It's key.
Okay. And I just kind of want to ask. So, describe what just happened. I'm curious about what that was.
It was a monster.
But what was it that happened to you specifically?
What do you mean? It picked me up and had me cinched in its claws.
Did you notice anything unusual about it? Is there some sort of magical grapple involved with the situation.
Did you see its claws?
I
Big
did.
things.
Indeed.
That's how it grabbed me. It didn't like it.
And Bailiff is like, yeah, I saw the whole thing. It was terrifying. I picked him up and started stabbing right into him.
Man of your strength, you should have been able to get free.
Oh, he did. He jumped off right out, and fired an arrow into it. It was really stunning, so if I might say so. And Bailiff's like, like it was awesome.
It had me for a moment, but I did get out.
There was something unusual about that. I need
What
to know more.
What did you notice about it?
It did not respond to my attempts to cow it.
You're a wizard?
Yeah, I'm a sorcerer, yeah.
Hey, you're a sorcerer, not a bard. Okay. Don't woo it. You set yourself up for that one.
Yeah, a little bit on purpose.
Yeah.
Based off prior discussions.
I have an ability to basically make things leave, and it didn't respond.
And Nels perks up and he's like, what do you mean leave? And by that note, how come people here can use magic and didn't discuss this before?
Shall we discuss it?
I think it's a good point to do so.
I say if we are expected to use our abilities, we deserve extra compensation.
He's like, don't bring it up with me, I'm the map maker.
You are the leader of the party, however.
I will speak on your behalf when we arrive. If we arrive, we still have the matter of getting off this godforsaken rock.
This is true.
And who knows if there's anything else out there.
What of yourself? Not expressing your ability.
I learned and dabbled a bit. I don't know what magic is. I was just taught how to do a simple wave and a word and fire sometimes would come out.
Wonderful.
That's fine. But you see him perturbed. He's just like, it doesn't matter at this point. He's just like, look what's on the ground, why are we discussing this? But at the same time, you see Ditas just like in shock in the corner, just like looking around, just like, I'm just a guy on a boat, type thing. You know that he has a little crossbow. You've never seen him fire it before.
The guy on the boat?
And he also has a short sword.
Is it Ditas?
Ditas. And Bailiff is more of the guy that was just rowing.
Am I the only person that
about
thinks of
everything.
Harry Potter with that name?
Ditas?
Diddless Diggle.
Oh, I guess so.
Shout out to my Harry Potter fans. Slytherin forever.
So, it's quiet. It's super quiet outside. In fact, that humming, that metallic bowl sound that I was talking about before, that's gone.
Have you guys ever had a sound bath? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do know what you're talking
That's
about.
what I pictured.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like that, where it's just it's enjoyable.
It's where
but
you
also
lay on the
upsetting.
ground, you have these metal bowls, and they have a...
It's kind of that feeling, and it's just suddenly gone. In fact, the wind has stopped. The rain is pattering, but it's not like that torrential downpour that you guys were dealing with before.
At least we have cover now. I'm wondering whether we should drag this thing outside.
Are there more of them?
Not in here.
This one didn't seem to have a hard time entering.
This is why we need to barricade the door.
On that note, Ditas stands up real fast and just shuts the door real quick, and then he notices everyone talking about the dead thing, and he's just looks around and says, "Should we move that out here? Should we toss? Can we toss it outside before we shut the door? I don't want that to get back up."
That's a good idea. Why don't you go ahead and get on that?
He looks to Nels, and Nels just nods at him, and he's just like, "Oh." And so he's like, "Could someone help me? This thing's huge."
Don't look at me.
So Tatian goes over and just kind of picks it up. Let's see how well they do with this.
I mean, if they struggle with it, I can.
He's kind of slipping at the gore from its wound went all over its arms. So he's pulling at it and slipping, but she's just almost one hand pulling it out the door. And she and him toss it out into the rain, and then they shut the door.
We should probably put Is there any furniture?
There is. There's like nothing
Bookcase
too.
or-
Yeah, there's a bookcase. There's also old TV set. I'm just kidding.
Wait, what?
Yeah, what? I was just waiting to get that kind of.
Man, you got me there.
By the way, we're in now. Just kidding. That'd be horrible. Ugh. Anyway, so
There's your screenplay idea.
It's kind of like the Gunslinger.
Yeah. D&D.
It's like,
D&D.
wait a minute, where are we?
D&D party comes to modern day.
Uh-huh.
Someday just like
I know,
that.
I've known people to play D&D Modern, and
Be weird.
I can understand D&D Steampunk, and I created a whole campaign based off it. But D&D Modern,
Be weird. I don't know how you.
And the only thing that comes to my mind is like Assassin's Creed.
You know what
type thing.
ruins movies is cell phones.
any communication or technology that should be
Totally destroy movies. All of your good like plot points that you have, you could have just made a phone call.
That's a good point. That happens a lot. Not tonight. You can't call the Empire. Hey, could you send a search party? We're kind of screwed. Anyway, so who is first watch? Because obviously you need to sleep, and you are first watch. But first watch.
I was first watch.
Watch first watch. It's really good. It's on podcasts. All
Go
over.
to anchor.fm/first watch.
Also
or
on Spotify.
I found them on Google Podcasts today.
yep, Google Podcasts,
And it's actually
YouTube.
really good. And
Yeah.
and there's friends that have pause on the game. But like there's things that people will do that I'm like they'll be friends. I'm like, yeah, it was good. But like this is actually really good and it's worth a listen to. So
So that, for context, it's a podcast that me and my buddy Dan run about tabletop RPGs. Yeah, you can find all those platforms you were talking about on anchor.fm/firstwatch, YouTube, First Watch, Instagram, First Watch Podcast.
it's
so
all
on and
over
so
the
forth.
place.
Yeah.
The point is that you need to watch it. And
Yep.
if you come from my
Well-
Instagram, you can see it there too. I
Whatever
posted
your
the,
podcasting platform.
the thing. Anyway, time back in. Okay, so
Time in.
anyway,
Wait a minute.
who's having the first watch? Because he needs to rest.
I rested the most during the last stop. I'll take first watch.
Tatiana, which you've never seen her do before, but she goes over to the corner and you see her turn herself into a cat. A scaled, like semi-furry cat.
That sounds
It
terrifying.
is pretty,
Right?
it's pretty strange looking.
So
By the way,
disconcerting.
druids in my campaigns bear some resemblance to their race. That would have been strange sounding. Anyway, they resemble something to
You're
their
saying
race.
what they morph into.
So if you're like a red
Yeah.
tiefling, you might have, and you're a druid, you might have like horns, but like bear the resemblance of like a dire wolf with horns. You know, and a tail that's kind of pointed. You know what I mean? I like to imagine they can turn into these things, but you still resemble somewhat
skewed.
yourself.
Yeah.
And to the populace, you probably seem like a normal animal, but like to friends, you can kind of spot them
See
out in a group.
characteristics.
Yeah, and they're not as profound as I'm explaining. It's very minor.
It's like how Bruce Banner is to the Hulk. You can still see Bruce Banner's face in the Hulk, even though
That's
he's
true.
not the same at all.
That's a great point. Anyway, so you see a almost scaly cat, which is kind of strange. It's almost like looks semi-lizard like, but she goes and sits over in the windowsill and she's looking out the window. So it looks like she's just going to take the first watch.
Okay. She's insisting, I guess.
I'm just gonna go kind of sit down in a corner and sit down there. Take a
Okay.
relax there.
All right, so the first watch goes pretty well, but when you wake up to take your second watch, you see her kind of like cozied up on the windowsill, like a little bit maybe dozing, but like, but she, as soon as she sees you stirring, she just like sits back up and then goes and lays down and kind of curls next to everybody
Okay.
in the room.
I will just wait out my watch.
Okay.
I could sit in the middle of the room, that's fine.
Okay. So you kind of just sit in the center of the room. I want you to roll d20 for your watch.
Am I adding anything?
I'm gonna have you just a base roll for this.
Alright.
Now you're awake the whole time, but for moments with your arcanic type arcanum Arcana background. I'll just say that Arcana type background.
+4.
Yeah, you feel connected to this place in like a magic type way. It almost gives like this electric shock to your like mind at times, just like different waves of like kind of how we explained in your campaign, which is like a river of magic. Sometimes there'll be moments where it gets close to you and you can just feel this surge. It's very strong here, but what you feel the most of is that the trees outside, almost when you kind of semi fall asleep with your 11, right? Is that 11?
Yeah.
You almost fall asleep a couple times, and you can see a specific tree on this island it kind of like popped itself in your mind and then went away.
Just a note on that. I don't ever really fully fall asleep.
That's true.
So, if anything, I would kind of have one eye open as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
If
I
anyone
mean, you
notices
can lay
that.
down. I mean, obviously, but for comfort. But you don't have to sleep
Yeah.
pretty much at all.
It would have been just like leaning against the wall and kind of like a half dozed type of.
It's because you're in the middle.
Yeah, it's so great. Oh,
Yeah.
oh, there we go. Oh. Anyway, so the first thing after, I mean, it becomes dawn because you didn't have much the night to sleep. But I'm gonna say, for the sake of it, it was a long rest. I mean, it was the longest rest you've had in a while. So.
Plus, I didn't have a watch for that first.
Yeah. So you
period
don't.
of rest,
So
whatever
you were
we had.
fine.
Yeah.
And so everyone, your HP's all back. Your spells are back. If you.
Oh,
spend
fully?
them. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, so you wake up and you see through the very dark clouds. It's threatening to rain again at any moment, but for now it's abated. And you're sitting there in kind of a quiet morning. No bird sounds. Very strange for morning. You know, just this absolute quiet. But you don't hear the humming, and looking outside, you don't see any funnel shapes that are new. Just the old one from it bursting through the door. But for now, it seems that all is well.
I'm gonna go search the thing and see if the arrows that I shot at it are there or whether they were destroyed.
Okay. I want you to roll a investigation to see how many arrows, if any, you gained back.
6.
You do find 2 arrows, but the one is bent and kind of probably useless. But
Yeah.
you do find another one
Okay.
that seems intact and you can retrieve.
I am going to go pull Nels aside and
Just one of those things.
Over there.
Mm-hmm.
talk to him and say, I suggest that we find the best way around this island.
No, it's just
I
nods.
feel
He's just
I
like,
feel a connection to some